What's up, sheepdogs? Ryan here with Tampa Carry. The anti-gunners are always looking for a different way to infringe on our constitutional rights. Apparently, they don't like to call it infringing. They say that they're just protecting us. How exactly are they planning to infringe on our rights, you may ask? By creating a firearm registration across the entire state of Florida and tracking the location of each individual firearm everywhere it goes. May I present to you State Bill 94. Now, the goal of this bill is to regulate the transferring of firearms from one individual to another. See, currently, if I want to lend one of my buddies a firearm to try or test before they go buy it, I'm allowed to do that. And because he has the same constitutional right that I do to have guns, it's not an issue. But with this new bill, they would require that we went through a background check from a local gun store before I could give a gun or lend a gun to someone else. So here are just a few of the things that this bill includes. First, requiring transfers of firearms to be conducted through a licensed dealer. Second, requiring deposit of the firearm with the licensed dealer under certain circumstances. Third is requiring processing by the licensed dealer. Fourth, providing for disposition of the firearm if the licensed dealer cannot legally complete the transaction or return the firearm to its original owner. Now, here's some of the things that are just really ridiculous about this. So, what it goes on to say, a person may not sell or otherwise transfer a firearm, including selling or transferring a firearm via the internet, unless the person is a licensed dealer. So what this means, multiple times I've been on websites, I find a really good deal on a gun, and it's being sold by a private individual. Let's say down in Sarasota. We text back and forth, we agree to meet, and we pick a location. I show up with the money. This person shows up with the gun, we make the swap, and we both walk on our way. That is legal, and shouldn't it be? So I should have a right to simply go buy a gun. Now, typically, I don't really like doing private sale transactions unless I know the other person. So I'm friends with them, it's one of you or somebody that I've trained, somebody that I have a relationship, right? Because I'm showing up with a lot of money and I want to make sure I'm not going to get robbed or something bad isn't going to happen. I should be legally allowed to do that. Now, this law would require that we bring the firearm to a gun store. The gun store would take possession of it. I would fill out a 4473, which is the federal background check document. I'd have to wait the applicable 3 or 5 day waiting period unless I had a concealed carry permit, and then I could pick up the gun. Now, the problem with this is I would also have to pay that gun store a fee. That fee can range between $20 to $75. Now, this bill doesn't specifically say it, but logic tells you that this is part of it. How would they ever know if I sold the gun to my buddy Jim? How would the Florida government ever know that I did not listen to this law? The only way they would know is if there was a firearm registration. The only way the state of Florida would know is if they knew which guns I had and which gun Jim's has, so that they can compare what we both have in our inventory. So the bill doesn't flat out say that they're going to register our guns, but I think that's coming. Now, it also goes on to say, a person who is loaned a firearm solely for the purpose of shooting at targets. If the loan occurs on the premise of the sports shooting range and the firearm is at all times kept on the premises of the shooting sport range. I find that that's really hilarious, and this is what I hate about government and big government. You need to manage what is your responsibility to manage. How I live my life and what I let my friend borrow or don't borrow has zero effect on anyone else, and it is not up to you to regulate what I am supposed to do. Now, it also says that there are some situations that I'm allowed to lend a firearm to somebody without going through this whole background check system and transfer at a gun store. It says, but I can only do it to an adult family member, which is BS. an adult family member of the lawful owner of the firearm if the owner resides with the family member but is not currently present in the residence, provided that the family member does not maintain control over the firearm for more than 14 consecutive days. So again, how do you know who lives with me and who doesn't? Who is gonna manage or keep track of how long that gun was out of my possession? How would you ever know that the gun was not brought back in that 14-day period? There's no way for you to regulate that unless there is a massive database of everybody that owns guns and who has guns in their possession at a given time. Then it also goes on to say that a person who violates this section commits a felony of the 3rd degree. You know, I'm really sick and tired of these politicians and wannabe lawmakers. They're trying to legislate and create all these ways to try to keep us safe. When do you know that in the last couple decades, the number of firearms in the United States have doubled? So we have doubled the amount of guns that are owned by citizens. Do you know what else happened in the last couple decades? The murder rate in the United States has been cut in half. Isn't that fascinating? That the same time that the number of firearms are increasing, the number of murders are decreasing. Maybe that tells you that bad guys don't like getting shot at. So maybe if we want to keep people safer, maybe if we want to reduce the amount of violent crime and stuff that's happening, maybe we should prosecute the people that are actually committing these violent acts. I think this State Bill 94 is nonsense. This is just one more way that they are chipping at our constitutional right to possess firearms. They're trying to convince us that this is not a right, that this is a privilege. And we have to fight back, sheepdogs. If you learned something from this video, share it on social media. We don't want these people to control the narrative. Let my voice be your voice. I'm stealing that from Halloween Noir. So share it. We need to get the message out there that this bill is nonsense. And until next time, stay safe.